Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia and I'm the owner of LyshaB Creative. In today's tutorial, we are using my brand new Butterfly Makers bundle to create this absolutely gorgeous, inspiring and motivational design with kind of like a V-split twist. And of course, I'm going to show you all the steps as well as provide all the products down in the description box with discount codes for anything I have to save you guys a little bit of extra money. But let's go ahead and jump right into today's tutorial. All right, so of course, first I have to start by showing you the items from the Butterfly Makers bundle. So these are brand new to my website, and so I have about 3 bundles already on the website. But for this Makers bundle in the butterfly design, you get 2 vinyl patterns, this striped vinyl and then the butterfly floral, and then you get a UV-DTF sheet like floral butterflies, and then you also get that beautiful butterfly decal. So that is available on my website, and I will of course link that down in the description box. You can buy it in a bundle, or you can certainly buy it all individually, like different pieces individually in case you want multiple pieces of the vinyl. But we're going to be working with this bundle today. So what I've done so far is I've taken that 12 by 12 sheet of that butterfly floral vinyl, and I have gone ahead and I have met it corner to corner so it creates sort of this X design through the center. You guys have seen me do this before in my V-split tutorials. This is kind of a really easy way to get like the perfect triangle space when you're trying to do your V-split designs. So this is a really just easy way to do that. And so now we're gonna go ahead and literally cut across the X. Okay, so we're gonna cut through the X, and this is gonna give us 4 triangles. We're gonna be using 2 of these triangles for sort of like this overlapping V-split look that's gonna give us a diamond on the one side. And then we'll use those other 2 pieces for, you know, a different tutorial or a different tumbler at a later time. Okay, so those 2 that I just showed will match up later too if you meet them point to point versus top and bottom like I'm going to do with these 2. So for this cup, we're using a 30-ounce sublimation tumbler that I just happen to have. This is from Hog. I also think this design would look absolutely gorgeous on a 32-ounce plump from the Tipsy Magnolia. So that also is an idea as well, but I didn't have any of those currently. So we're just using this cup that is a sublimation cup to kind of create this design here. So I have sanded the cup. I know you guys didn't see that, but I did sand this cup off camera and just spray that down with 91% rubbing alcohol to clean off any sanding debris. And then we're going to go ahead and apply that first V-split, that first triangle section. So we are going to give myself a bit of an overlap. The idea is to have that point come just past the middle point because we are going to have like an overlapping triangle diamond looking section in the center. Okay, so we're going to, once we get that part sort of applied, that first triangle, we'll go ahead and of course trim off the excess vinyl right off the top. Using a brand new craft knife is going to be the best and easiest way to get this trimmed easily with a nice smooth finish and not a jagged edge. And so once we're done with that, we can now move into adding the second triangle. And how we're going to add the second triangle is we're going to flip it upside down because again, this is going to be sort of like the sort of like a diamond look on the other side. So we're going to flip that triangle upside down. So like we were doing a V-split, but on the other end, if that makes sense, like vinyl up. And we're going to meet that right over that original vinyl in the center. I'm using sort of like that pointed area to kind of guide me. So I'm overlapping the pointed area right where it meets in the middle. And then I am just going to smooth from the center down. And then I will move from edge to edge or side to side, getting the rest of this vinyl sort of like peeled, put on, if that makes sense, applied. So again, we have a bit of an overlap and that's okay. We're going to trim away the excess vinyl like we always do. So we're going to make sure that this all matches up nicely. We don't have any bumps or any wrinkles in our vinyl. I like to pull down the edge of my vinyl towards the bottom, and this is just going to help me create sort of a really straight edge when I cut the rim and not have, again, any sort of a jagged look because it's not as easy since it's not a flat edge like the top of the cup. This is more of a rounded bottom. So I'm going to use my painter's tape as a guide to help me cut a straight line around the bottom of the cup. So just cutting with my craft knife around that bottom edge of the tape, slowly just making sure that I am cutting the actual vinyl and not cutting through my tape. That way I get a nice straight line at the bottom here. And then we can go ahead and we can remove the tape. So now with the tape removed, we can go ahead and apply the next section of vinyl here. And so now we're going to take our striped vinyl and we're going to apply our striped vinyl onto here, okay? So this is a really pretty, just like striped pattern. It's got like, you know, this really like deep kind of purple, violet color. It's got a pink stripe and a white stripe. So this also would be really pretty and transparent, but this is an opaque sheet of vinyl. So I'm taking 2 sections of those 3 stripes, and I'm actually going to cut them again. So I'm actually going to use just the solid like violet stripe and the solid pink stripe. So originally I was just going to do the stripes across the top and bottom, and I'm still going to do that, but we're going to negate the white section so that we can see through the 2 center stripes and see the floral vinyl underneath. And so it'll make sense once I kind of apply it. I know it kind of doesn't make sense as I'm explaining it, but it will make sense as we get it applied. So what we're going to do here is I'm sort of just matching it up, just making sure it's going to look the way that I envisioned it in my head, because I did kind of change courses partway through creating this cup. And so we're going to start with the pink. That'll be kind of the upper portion of the cup. And I'm going to go a little bit from the top. I'm putting this on the back of the cup because that is where sort of the seams of the vinyl are. So I'm going to just line it up with the back of the cup here. And I am going to apply this top stripe. Now, again, I am probably like a 1/2 inch from the top or so. And I just wanted to be able, again, to really see the other vinyl underneath this to just, again, just to kind of enhance the look a little bit. Here I am just attempting to get that stripe on, and to show you that a lot of times my vinyl striping does not go on straight. I do have to kind of play with it and remove it and reapply it multiple times to get it to line up. So this I did, you know, spend some time just trying to make sure that this vinyl section was going to be applied straight. Now, be mindful that when you are applying a strip of vinyl like this, that you do want to be careful that you don't stretch it or pull it too much, because it will stretch and warp that section of the vinyl. So just be mindful when you're, you know, doing this or recreating this or just using any kind of vinyl. Remember that when you pull things, when you pull the vinyl, it for sure will you know, sort of pull and tug and sometimes warp that vinyl. So we're going to apply that like deep purple violet color. We're going to apply that kind of right underneath, but leaving a bit of a gap again to see that original vinyl underneath, or in between, I should say, the 2 stripes that we're putting on here. And so this is what this is going to look on the top, and I'm going to recreate or do the exact same thing on the bottom. So I am just going to do a speed session, and there will be several speed sessions of this in this tutorial, because a lot of it is like redundant, so I don't feel like it's important to show it multiple times. But obviously, if there's anything that doesn't make sense or isn't clear, you guys know that you can leave comments in the comment section, and I will gladly answer and help any questions. So once we've gotten those vinyl stripes on, something I didn't take into account is it would have made sense for me to apply this section of vinyl later after the glitter, but it's fine because we will still be able to glitter around it. Just, of course, it would have been a little bit easier if I had done this, you know, after I've glittered and maybe a coat of epoxy, so I have a smooth surface. But we're gonna work around this. This is doable. We can still work around this. We're gonna go ahead and trim or frame out, I should say, the diamond that's in the center here. And that's where we'll kind of start with this. So just around that diamond section over that floral butterfly vinyl. And then for those little stripes in the center, there was only really one section that I needed to cover up, and that was the deeper purple color, because there is, again, just a little bit of a gap in between those 2 sections of vinyl. So I'm just going to cover up this section with a little bit of thin painter's tape. This is like 1/4 inch painter's tape. I will link the one I have down in the description box. I use this a lot, honestly. It comes in a lot of different sizes, and it's perfect for taping small sections off. You know, for projects like these, I use this a lot when I'm making like keychains or small things where I want to separate colors. This is also really, you know, a really easy, you know, thin section of tape that you can use for those kinds of crafts and projects too. So we're just going to tape off these sections, just covering up the vinyl, of course, and then we can get ready to glitter this section. So now for glittering, we are just going to use Mod Podge as our, you know, glue of choice for this particular tutorial. And the glitters that we're going to use today, we're actually going to use 3 glitters, okay? So I'm using Quinn from Peachy Olive Glitter. I'm also using Nova from Batty Glitter. And then finally, I'm using Yayo from Trace Mustachios Co. I will link all of them down in the description box, of course, so that you guys can, grab those up if you don't have whites that you'd like to use for this section of the cup. Any white will do. You guys know me though. I don't like to just choose one color. I am always sort of like building on top of one color. So that's why I have sort of these 3 colors. Quinn is a chunky translucent white. It's really beautiful. And it really does just mimic whatever colors are going to be laid on top, but adds again that dimension. Now Nova is a medium cut mix, I would say. And it has some like pink like reflective pieces in it as well, which really just I feel like lend itself to how pretty the vinyl is under or behind it. So I just felt like that would be great. And then Yayo is a solid white with a bit of a little bit of a silver shift, I would say. And so I felt like that would just pull it kind of all together. And it just gives us a really pretty dimensional look in the glitter along that diamond section. So we can go ahead and just brush off, of course, any of that excess glitter that's on the vinyl and not on the tape or on the glued section. And then we're just going to go ahead and remove the tape now. So we'll remove all of this tape. And after we've removed all of the tape, I am going to just kind of let this sit for a little bit. We want to let that glue fully dry, that Mod Podge fully dry. Once it's dried, I do brush off the tumbler over a trash can, just that glittered section particularly, to just make sure that all of the glitter is removed. I'll do a spray seal with some clear Rust-Oleum spray paint, and then it'll get a coat of epoxy. So at this point, before I'm ready to sort of go into the sealing process, I decided that I wanted to kind of dress up the bottom. So because the bottom is just white, I could just leave it white, but I don't like a plain bottom, if I'm completely honest, unless it's going to be like stainless steel or like the color shifting tumblers. So I decided that we're going to add a little bit of some foil flakes to the bottom of this cup. So I'm going to use tack it to apply them. Okay. So for the foil flakes, I am using this like lavender purple color. And so to apply them, of course, I'm just going to use tack it. So I'm using Aleene's tack it over and over glue. We'll put a thin coat on there. I'm not patient, so of course I have to use my little fan to speed things up. But then we're going to use this really pretty foil to stick to the bottom of the cup. So I'm just going to apply as much of this as I can onto the cup, on the bottom of the cup, and then you'll see I kind of just get kind of like the middle section done, and then I'm just going to like burnish that down just like you would if you were doing the tack it method for glitter on your cup. Same kind of process with this kind of foil that I got off of Amazon. It really does like, it almost like disintegrates into like this really beautiful metallic powder. I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely unique in that it's even different from the other foil flakes I've used before, but it's really cool in the way that it kind of like almost mimics glitter once it's placed on the bottom. So anyway, I've done that. We of course go through the sealing process. I've taken this and done 2 coats of epoxy over the tumbler so that the entire cup is nice and smooth. At this point is when I would do all of my sanding, which I've already done prior to doing this part, because this is a bit of a tedious part. So I wanted to make sure that we spend a little bit of time here. There will be some speed sessions here, but what I have done is I'm using a combination of washi tape, vinyl, and nail tape in order to sort of do this sort of really beautiful and sort of extravagant, I suppose, more detailed than I've ever done vinyl work to this tumbler. So we're starting with like this light powder blue metallic washi tape that I get from Hobby Lobby. It comes in like a pack of other like pastel like colors, and we're just going to kind of frame out the top and bottom of all that vinyl section. Okay, then we'll take a white section and we're going to put that over top of that navy or that violet purple section in both areas. Now from here, what we'll go ahead and do after we've done this section is we'll then take that purple. So this is like a purple, it's like a deep violet color that I got from Tech Wrap. I will find it and link it down in the description box. And we're just going to use that to cover the white. I didn't want to go back with a white vinyl section just because I felt like it would blend right into the white section of vinyl there. So that's why I decided to go with sort of like that lavender or that violet color. And now we can go ahead, after we've done the stripe section up top, we're going to go ahead and now address the diamond in the center. So I really wanted the outline of the diamond to be sort of like right on top of everything, to kind of be like in your face and really draw attention to the center of the tumbler. So we're going to take this purple washi tape, again, a metallic bundle that I get off of that I get from Hobby Lobby. And you're going to see that as I'm lining this out, when I get to the back side, because we had that overlapping section of vinyl in the back, I'm exactly following that line of the overlapping and creating sort of this small diamond in the back. So I'm not like recreating this diamond. I'm literally following the pattern that I can see of that overlapping vinyl to create that diamond on the back of the cup, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to sort of frame the intersection of the diamond again to just sort of draw and bring more attention to that. So I'm starting with this light blue washi or nail tape rather that I purchased off of Amazon, and I'm creating this starting at the top of the tumbler on the front, in front of the diamond, right under that purple washi tape, and we're going to pull that all the way down to the back side, past the little diamond, to the other side of the cup, okay? I know it kind of looks weird, and I did play with this a little bit because I was like, does this look right? But I have to remember that, of course, this isn't completely the same on the other side. Like, there isn't two large diamonds, so I'm not really following the diamond pattern. I'm just letting that tape drag me all the way to the other side of the cup, the back side, to create this crisscross pattern that kind of encompasses that small diamond on the back, okay? So for this washi tape, this is the light lavender color in that same washi tape pack from Hobby Lobby. And we're just going to use this to sort of cover up the bottom. I didn't love the idea of just having that bottom section of vinyl just not covered. So we're just going to use this. It really does match quite well with the bottom of the foil bottom that we've put on this cup. And this is just going to help us, you know, just sort of make the cup look a little bit more finished. Okay. So once I've gotten that part, now we're going to get on to the kind of the last section of vinyl that we're going to add here. And so I just felt like I needed a little bit more. We're going to continue to kind of build towards the center of the cup because the decal that I'm going to be using isn't going to be, like, it's big once it's all said and done, but it's not huge. So I didn't want all this open white space. So again, I'm going to go on the intersection of the diamond. I'm going to touch the purple section, but I'm going to be under the blue. And I'm going to drag this all the way back again, creating another sort of point section or almost diamond section, which is what it'll look like when it's all said and done. Okay. So I know this kind of is hard to, I'm hoping the video really showcases like what I'm doing, because I feel like explaining it, it's like so hard to like really explain what I mean, but you can kind of see in the video how I'm just meeting the points under where the original diamond on the back end is, if that makes any kind of sense, okay? So here I got a little bit short on it, so I did have to go back and just replace those sections and just make sure that that pointed area was right below that original small diamond on the back. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to flip it around and do the same thing with the bottom of the cup. So it creates this, again, diamond on the back side, outside of the original small diamond. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So I'm just pushing down all this washi tape and nail tape and such, because I know that this will sometimes lift during the epoxying process. So to further make sure that this is sort of sealed, we're going to take a little bit of polyacrylic and just apply this directly onto all of the vinyl and line work we just did. We don't want to mess this up in our coats of epoxy. So we want to really make sure that this is fully sealed and that it's good to go. Okay. So at this point, I would recommend putting this back on the turner for another coat of epoxy. Okay. We're going to pretend that I did that. I didn't, but we're going to pretend that I did that. So we're going to go ahead and add our decal, because I do feel like I have enough space that my transfer tape won't touch any of the washi tape and pull it up or off. So I'm going to take a little bit of risk here. Okay. And we're going to apply this decal. So we're going to use one of the butterfly floral decals that are seen on that UV-DTF sheet, but I did also go to Cricut and I cut this, wording out. It was actually made particularly for a shirt, but it's perfect for sort of this design. But it says, embrace the beauty of your journey. Your story is a masterpiece in progress. So I just thought it was just a really motivational quote, really kind of, goes along with like change, like the change that a butterfly goes, or that, caterpillar turns into a butterfly, that kind of a thing. So I really just loved kind of that cute quote. And I did get this off Creative Fabric. I didn't create it myself, so I will link, of course, that as well in the description box. And I've cut this out of Tech Wrap Craft vinyl. It's their chrome purple vinyl that I used a while back. I have quite a bit of it still left, but it's really cute, really like metallic looking, and actually really easy to cut on your Cricut any cutting machine because it's not as difficult as most metallics. If you've ever tried to use metallic vinyl or foil in your Cricut or your Silhouette or whatever, like mine always tears it apart. So this was so easy to work with and cut for sure. So I'll link that down in the description box. So I do have to do a little bit of reverse weeding here. So I've applied all the decals, but all of those inner portions needed to be weeded out because it was too delicate to do on the transfer sheet without removing the whole letter. So I'm just reverse weeding that now that it's applied to the cup. And now we have this sort of beautiful looking diamond. So we are going to seal in the UVDTF and the decal wording that we've just put on to make sure, again, that we don't get any repelling over the UVDTF decal, which sometimes can happen because of the ink that's used for a UVDTF. So I just like to go in with a little bit of a thin layer of polyacrylic just to make sure, of course, that we've got this all sealed up and we don't have any issues whatsoever in our final coats of epoxy. Okay, we'll let this dry. I let this dry for, I think it took maybe 30 minutes. Honestly, not even. Polyacrylic, if you do a thin coat, really does take like 10 minutes to cure. But now we're back to the turner and we're going to do our first of final coats here. So we are going to use Flint Sisters Supply Shop Artist Cure for this. And I am going to pour myself 30 mLs. Now I am going to be also epoxying another cup as well, so I won't even need this full 30 for the first of 2 final coats here. But we are going to get this mixed up. Take your time when you're mixing your epoxy. I spend anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes mixing my epoxy. The slower you mix, the less bubbles that you're going to introduce. But if you do have bubbles in your epoxy, it's okay. As long as you have a torch or something to pop those bubbles, you should be good and you should be fine. But if you are going slow, when you are stirring and not stirring vigorously, that will cut down on the bubbles in your epoxy, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and apply our epoxy here onto the cup. I am being very mindful. I'm kind of going in with, I would say, a medium thickness coat. I typically do rather thin coats because though we were using washi tape and nail tape, sometimes if I am being a little bit too rough and trying to make too much of a thin coat, it will pull up that washi tape and vinyl that I've laid down. So I tried to be a little bit thicker over those, you know, those hinge points or those meet points where the 2 edges meet to make sure that, you know, I don't actually pull it up as I'm epoxying. So I did probably about 20 out of the 30 mLs in here on this cup for the first of 2 final coats. The second final coat and that final coat was another 20 mLs to finish off this cup. We'll torch this, pop all those bubbles, and this will take about 8 to 12 hours to fully cure for me to be able to touch it and handle it. But this design came out way better than expected. This was a design that kind of just popped right into my head after seeing these vinyl prints, and I am just so enamored with how beautiful this came out. You guys will have to let me know what you'll be using the Butterfly Makers bundle to create. Definitely leave your ideas down in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I will see you guys again in the next one. Bye!